Good afternoon. Well, good to see that you're still here after lunch. So thank you for being here. My name is Nikhil Patinge, and I'm the director of the whole of Victorian Government Data Integration Service, also known as the API program, at the Department of Government Services in the Victorian Government. So I'm going to talk to you today about improving the effectiveness of business outcomes. You choose your context. It could be data analytics, it could be machine learning, it could be just your business processing or any other business outcomes by enabling cross-jurisdictional data access. And I'm going to do that using a case study, which is a success story within Victorian Government and also a fundamental capability which allows to expand on your data journeys and digital transformation and has had huge positive impact in the Victorian Public Service. So I'm going to take you through this. I want to make it as interactive as possible. So if you have questions, etc., please feel free to ask on the chat. In the end, I'm again happy to have a conversation about either of those. Okay, so let's head into this. Well, I would like to begin by acknowledgement of country. I acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which we meet today, the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nations, and pay my respects to the elders past and present. We extend that respect to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people here today. A bit about the Department of Government Services. Now, you may have seen that my previous title, which was almost similar, was with the Department of Premier and Cabinet. Now, we had what's called a machinery of government change since the most recent elections in November 2022, most recent state elections in November 2022. Machinery of government change basically means that you change the structure of the government to enable efficiencies and to have the government function better. As part of that, we were newly formed. See, the Department of Government Services, the intention of the department is to provide a single front door for citizens to interact with all things government. Generally, the government in its form is organized in a very vertical fashion from a subject matter expertise style fashion. So Department of Education, Transport, Health, etc. These are all vertical subject matter experts in their own. They're all vertical subject matter expertise in their own rights. But if you think about the customer experience, the customer doesn't necessarily care about which department is providing them a service. So think about you requiring a birth certificate. You just want the government to provide your service. I don't necessarily need to know which department internally is doing that processing. So for me, the interaction with the government should be through a single front door, enabling or at most abstracting the complexity of the government as a black box from me and just providing a service in return. The attempt of the Department of Government Services is exactly to do that. Right? That's one phase of the department where it will face the citizens and the businesses to enable better services for them and better user experience for them. On the other side, similar capabilities on a foundational structural front are also required by department and agencies internally. So think about things like identity, cloud enablement, integration, data capabilities, etc. Some of these basic capabilities are also required internally by departments. So that's the other side of Department of Government Services. So we will be providing services to both citizens and businesses across Victoria, and also internal departments and agencies. So to both to maximize efficiencies and make sure that the user experience is spot on. So why do we require access to data? Well, that's one of the reasons. Everyone trusts only the data unless you've got. But well, Victorians have growing expectations of government. Well, they want to interact with the government in a digital format. They want to access modern services digitally. Based on a 2022 survey, 88% of Victorians want digital government services. And they just don't want a transfer of the offline experience, which is the paper forms that you filled and then got a service, to be transferred to online. But they want a better user experience while doing that. Meaning, don't ask me to enter the same information again and again. If you're one government and I'm giving you my information once, just make sure that you're contextualizing that in providing me the necessary services without duplicating that again and again and asking that again and again. On the other hand, you also have people who play with the data as well, like the data that citizens have of themselves, or probably the data that's stored for wider reasons which can be released to the public. data sets, public transport data sets, environmental data sets, etc. People want to play with them as well, innovate on top of that, accelerate a lot of application development on top of that, create new things on top of it, etc. So that's the expectation, and the expectation of Victorians from the government is in the same way as they expect the services from an Amazon Web Services, or sorry, an Amazon.com.au or a Google.com.au. So for them, especially in the new digital world, there is no difference, or at least in their own head, when they are trying to measure us and our performance in terms of the way we provide services. It's no different than them measuring the performance of us with private players. So really, accessing government services in a modern way is the need of the hour. Internally, government staff also want to access modern solutions for sharing and accessing data. So you don't want, government servants do not want to necessarily just be pushing paper around, etc. They want access to modern systems so that they could provide value-added services to citizens and businesses. If you're a VPS caseworker, or you are a VPS analyst, or you're a frontline worker, or you're a technology leader, you need access to data. The access to data that you require is also not just raw in its nature. You want to make sure that you can read, interpret, and derive value out of it, rather than just being entangled in the data itself. So all in all, fundamentally, the need for data has increased in various forms for various purposes. But there is a fundamental problem, or there was a fundamental problem. Government data sharing was constrained by technology. So we as government have always been great at as policy making, right? That's our forte. So we always have made great policies about data sharing. We've made great policies about the exchange of data and the use of data, etc. But on the ground, translating that into real infrastructure or a means, which is like a strong engineering layer, has always been the missing gap. Now, without modern mechanisms, you won't be able to achieve sharing of the data at scale, at pace, efficiently, and with low or almost no time to market. All of us have been in government. We have seen times where, and we probably still see times where Excel sheets are dropped into folders and being shared across in an insecure way, probably over emails, screenshots, and all the rest. So need for data is very clear, but the problem is also very clear, that government operates in silos. And data is, again, a very horizontal construct when you want to provide a service. Also, if you're able to provide that data, you want to also be able to provide that in an efficient, when I say efficient, a cost-effective way, because integration is a very expensive, integration or data transfer technologies are a very expensive piece of technology. And also, if you think about it, they are like your typical arterial network. It's the non-shiny bit, but an extremely essential bit. And there are not many patterns to do that, right? There are some fixed, tried, and tested patterns through which you need the fundamental infrastructure to be laid. That's what I'll be talking about today. I will be talking about why an underpinning data engineering capability is the key to unlock a lot of the capabilities that you want to innovate on top of that data. So again, government data sharing constrained by technology, and some of the concerns, which is have delays in accessing the data. Whenever data is accessed, the meaning with the common patterns is not established. Sometimes you could have insecure data channels. There's a high cost to set something up and maintain. There's duplication, so every department does it in different ways, in their own ways, often using the same technology and often using the same operating model. And again, just because of this, the result, the lack of visibility, creates a lot of challenges. Now, we stumbled upon our first use case to solve this problem through the 2017 Royal Commission into Family Violence. So during the Royal Commission in 2017 for family violence, if you've been following that, you'll realize that there were some recommendations that the Commission made. One of the ones among the many categories that the recommendations were was about the fact that that government ought to be sharing data, information sharing amongst each other quite well. Now, unfortunately, if the information wasn't shared in time, or wasn't shared in the manner in which it should have been shared, there were serious consequences. So think about a typical family violence incident. you would have multiple agencies involved in the response. You could have police, you could have, if you have children on site, then you would have child protection agencies, you would have Department of Health, you would have Department of Education, you could potentially have a fire team there, ambulance, etc. So you think about it, there are multiple agencies involved in a typical response. What you want to be able to do is, in case of an unfortunate incident like this, the first responders collect all of the information, and you don't want to come back again, take that information back, and then another agency comes back and again collects the same information. It causes for a very frustrating experience. And if there are delays in this, then unfortunate incidents, including the loss of life, could happen. So basically, it's important that information is shared immediately. Information is shared in a manner that it's a common pattern. It's understandable information between the agencies for a typical response. So this was one of the key recommendations of the Royal Commission. Now, we worked with Family Safety Victoria in implementing the and Family Safety Victoria was responsible for implementing the recommendations of the Royal Commission. And we, back in the day at DPC, worked very closely with them to create the approach to implement this from an information sharing perspective. So the approach that we took and the strategy that we created was to have a central data sharing solution where you have the ability to share data with one another using a common infrastructure, which is centrally managed but decentrally operated. What it does is, you are an agency who wants to share or receive data, so send or receive data, but you don't want to take the overheads of creating a brand new technology suite, overlaying that with all the necessary regulatory obligations, because now you're passing data that is quite sensitive. So you have to make sure that the data security meets the WoVG standards. You have got other things like the platform has to be IRAP assessed. You want to ensure that the platform is always available. You want to make sure that whenever data is to be sent, the means are available as well. So if you are the owner or the custodian of the data and you want to just share it, all you should be focused on is just sharing it, rather than actually creating the infrastructure to share that. That abstraction should be taken away from, which causes a lot of redundancy, which causes a lot of overhead, to the sharing and the receiving part. That abstraction be taken away, and value should be added to it so that it's done once, which reduces duplication, at the same time immediately allows for an infrastructure to be available for a plug-and-play means to share data. It reduces the time to market, and the opportunity which exists due to the rapid scaling of such a model allows for it to, it to be multifaceted, in which you can explore data sets, you can use that data for a number of purposes, etc. So it just allows for simplicity to prevail in the end through the effective use, effective transfer of data, 24/7 supported in every single instance. So here's what a solution was out of that approach. The whole of Victorian Government API Capability Platform. It's a centrally managed but decentrally operated platform. This platform is created by the government, for the government, and operated within the government as well. So it's a shared service funded by all the departments and Victoria Police within the Victorian Public Service, which allows for the interoperability of IT systems, reduces duplication of operational costs, and increases the quality and security government data. The platform in itself is an IRAP certified platform, which is managed and supported 24/7 by the Department of Government Services. Now, this particular way of operating, the operating model, was established through what's called the Victorian Secretary's Board. We went to them and basically presented a business case of how this would provide for enormous savings and also allow for all of the benefits that we previously talked in the approach, and how the departments, by adopting an API-first approach, can unleash the power of data and the data sets depending upon the access profile of the particular data set. The operational costs of the departments are shared across the departments, and I'll come in a second on what our access and the discoverability of that looks like. Now, since the launch of this, which we launched back in 2018, 2019, really operationalized in 1920, this has been a proven service. It's a centrally managed, decentrally operated, 24/7 supported IRAP certified platform. It's really an integration platform as a service, where the entire API management solution is right in front of you, available to be used. This complex diagram here basically is, I'll simplify that. I mean, the diagram really tells you that you can connect any system, any system, meaning any cloud system, from across the spectrum. I mean, from a connectivity perspective, your systems could be on the cloud, or they could be in a virtual private network, and you can still connect it to using the platform that we have. So it's really a plug and playable integration platform as a service. Now it's multi-tenanted because the customer, the primary customers of this particular platform are the departments and agencies. So the way it's, so from a department agency perspective, think of it as you are a department and agency. You've got systems or data sets that need to talk to one another. You use this as a transporter. Now, as I said, it's been a proven service over the last 5 years. The platform has supported key government priorities, including the COVID-19 response, which is the contact tracing visitation APIs. I've already spoken about the Royal Commission into Family Violence response, Victoria Police's Central Information Point, and the likes of Department of Health Secure Data Exchange response. So all of this, the underlying transportation layer of data, and which continues to be operational, most of them even today, happens to be the whole of Victorian Government API platform. Now, again, most departments have used us to varying degrees, but currently we see transactions ranging from, so currently the uptake of the platform is around 850 million transactions per year and growing, right? We anticipate growth almost 10% every year of this because we basically are seeing more and more uptake of the platform. Now, this entire platform is supported in-house, and the ideation and the conceptualization and the continuous improvement of that happens in-house through a team of product technology architecture and operations specialists and customer engagement. We are also supported by a managed services provider to make sure that the platform is always supported 24/7. So these are, again, some of the examples of the initiatives that I just spoke about. From an architecture standpoint, it's the same diagram that I showed earlier. Basically, it allows for any system to connect with any other system so that you can move data between different agencies, different departments, etc. This is the multi-tenanted, as I said, it's a multi-tenanted platform. So every department has its own tenancy. So from a behavioral standpoint, it's not any different from them going to a major cloud provider and getting a tenancy for themselves and building their own integrations. Right, and I'll come to that in a second of how we service manage the various departments. The architecture itself is set up on the platform itself. Sorry, is set up on Azure. It's the Azure Red Hat OpenShift environment in which the entire on which the entire platform is hosted. We've got Axway as the API gateway, and you've got MuleSoft as the orchestration layer. Now we also have the various tenancies. They range from absolute private tenancies to an open tenancy. The open tenancy has all public facing, typical public open APIs in it, through which we've got a portal called developer.vic.gov.au. You can go and check it out online and see that there are a range of APIs published there, which one can use and innovate on top of. So as I said, I'll just come back very quickly to services that a team provides. So some of the things that are included as part of the service to the departments and agencies under the earlier said fee or shared costs are 24/7 support. We provide a lot of advisory style services to them to make sure that connectivity is in place, solution architecture is to a standardized degree, etc., etc. But on the top, we also charge for specific services. Now, as I said earlier, there are departments who have the integration capability but just need a platform, in which case the platform by itself is definitely used. But there are other departments who have the need for integration but do not have the means to do it, in which it could be the capacity or capability. In that case, they come to us and we also develop the integrations for them. So in that real sense, it becomes a true product and a consulting shop of kinds. So the extra charge services are really the API and policy building service, and also what's called enterprise connectivity plan, which is a blueprint to your tenancy. So these are the customer service models. So again, white belt is when we do it for you, or black belt on the other side is where you do it yourself, meaning you build your integrations yourself versus we building it for you. The blue belt is where you have the capacity and the capability, but we are training you towards becoming a black belt. So we are just hand-holding you for some time, but you'll move on to becoming a black belt soon. Now, this service allows for the adoption of the platform more and more and the uptake of it more and more. Now, this is a fee structure. I can't reveal the fees, but this is how it looks like. There's a fixed price for platform utilization. So there's a fixed fee per annum where you can use the platform as much as you want. And there is a bit of a subsidized fee for agencies. And again, these are the specific offerings on the service side. So if you want to develop if we're developing the APIs for you, if it's a small one, it'll cost you something, which is less than 1 month of effort. Between 1 and 3, we call it a large API build. It's a different cost. And then the enterprise connectivity plan, which is a one-time blueprint. Now, here's where it gets interesting. This is what the current benefits to departments are. So look at this column, flying solo, versus look at this column, whole of Victorian Government API platform, which is coming on board onto us. So because of the power of sharing, we become 25% less expensive as compared to this price for 75% more features than you going on your own. You meaning the departments and agencies going on their own and setting something from scratch, running it, managing it, etc. Now, one of the most important things there is procurement. We already available, plug and playable. So if you require integration, your time to market is almost nil, a few weeks. But if you were to just set something from scratch, you require integration from scratch, you have to go through procurement of 9 months, right? Which not only duplicates a lot of because you'll again probably end up using the same core technologies, because from an integration standpoint, you really have 8 core capabilities. And the players in the market are not many. Right? So the chances are that you'll probably end up going to the same players anyway. So for you, the value add is really to just use this as a service. If you just want to you just want to create and use integrations. Okay. Now this is the team. I'm extremely fortunate to be supported by an excellent team. I've got about 5 verticals reporting into me. You've got product, who looks after, led by senior managers. The product side looks at things horizontally, looks at the whole platform as a product and an offering. Operations looks after the 24/7 upkeep of the platform and also the customer support. They're supported by the managed services provider. You've got a technology lead and engineering side, basically, which actually develops the APIs for customers. You've got the architecture team led by the principal architect, who looks, again, technologically horizontally to the platform. Looks at the platform horizontally through the lens of technology. And then you've got the engagement team, which makes sure that our customers are always supported, the projects are onboarded, their account managed, etc. And then I've got some program and project support to make sure that everything runs smoothly from an administration standpoint. Now, where are we taking this to the future? Well, this is, as I said, it's a proven model. Departments are having increasing uptake of this every single day. It allows for a seamless product experience. It's not complicated to understand or use, because you're really just using the same behaviors as you interact with other leading modern cloud technologies. So the need that departments now have, having used a lot of service-based integration, is to unlock even new features. So they would like event streaming, they would like message queuing, enterprise caching, managed file transfers, data fabric architecture. So all of those are newer features for which one could still go externally and just get that feature and again go through the entire setup and operationalizing that and all that process. Instead, the value that the departments will get is to add these as features on the whole of Victorian Government API platform, and then call it a full-fledged whole of Victorian Government data integration service, where these features are available almost like you would have the features on your phone. So right now, think of it, there are 2 features on the phone. Once these become available, you'll just see 3. So the interaction that you have, your behavior as a user with the system and the entire setup won't change, right? But you'll just start seeing more and more features, and you pay for that specifically. So I think I give an analogy all the time here where I say, well, we are a trucking company, a logistics company, transporters. We moved out of a point A to point B. Right now, we just have a basic capability to move data from point A to point B. But customers require cold storage movement and hot storage movement as well of data. We don't have those capabilities at the moment, but we'll add them. And also, there's expensive pieces of capability. So not everyone needs to pay for that. People who require that will specifically pay for that, right? And I'll come to what the future funding model or the future pricing model looks like for that. But again, there are other things that we're going to do in the evolution for us to move towards the whole of Victorian Government EIS. We are going to optimize the existing technology stack, make sure that things like logging, monitoring, and analytics, we're able to tell better stories out of this. We're going to enable departments to migrate off legacy technology so they've got something ready to move on to, instead of worrying about, I need to now set something from scratch. And once the engineering side is taken care of, we're going to strengthen the data discovery layer and the resultant experience. So people can take a look at, and actually start self-serving the discovery of data sets over time. Again, access and security enabled. So if you are entitled to a particular set of APIs, you log in through the portal. We already have a portal, but you actually expand the use of that and log in through that. And depending upon your access profile, you're able to view and basically access the typical APIs that you are entitled to. Again, funding models that we are evaluating at the moment. Currently, we're on a fixed price, as I probably mentioned earlier, but now it'll be moving on fixed plus the usage. Right? So it represents the best balance, enables continuous improvement, and also people don't pay for something that they do not use. So it's a balanced approach. Again, now the benefits will start compounding, where as you add more and more features to that, we then become 25% less expensive for 85% more features. So the benefit of this just start compounding. Right? Again, my summary out of all of this is that data engineering is the heart of it. So I've prepared some key takeaways. The sentiment will echo. I'll take you through them one by one, but very quickly. I think data engineering, again, is the foundation for being successful with data. I think, and the underpinnings of a strong infrastructure, plug and playable, scalable, and efficient, cost-effective, is really the secret to actually go into the next AI frontier that we're talking about. It's a journey. It's not a destination. So again, start small, but have a goal, have a strategy as you move forward. Have it product-led and technology-driven, not the other way around. Now, earlier what we realized is because we were technology-led, we were throwing technology at this a lot. Right? Ever since that, we've just taken a step back and said, okay, we will actually engage with customers and see how exactly can we make their things happen through product features, which are easy for them to understand, and then driven solidly by robust technology. Right? If you're a department, an agency, or an organization who wants to attempt this at a central level, I would say nail your business case first. Right? Have a sustainable funding model to this. Discuss things and get your customers on the journey. Your customer is going to be the king. Don't compromise on customer service. Through your interactions, you'll realize that as your stakeholders get invested in the journey, which you will do through the journey, they will have more and more expectations of you. Again, as I said, they'll measure you with the same yardstick that they measure private players. So just make sure that you always have absolute spotless service to them. Your platform is 24/7 supported. It never goes down. Factor in for the growth and scale and account for a lot of sustainable OPEX, because your bills will keep on growing as you operate this service. Educate your data custodians on data quality. Now, you can be the transporter, but sometimes if data quality is poor, the transporter will definitely get blamed. Okay. Finally, invest in and nurture in your team. I think the people are what makes this a great experience and a great success as well, through delivery and through the sheer nature that customers enjoy it. So just make sure that you have got an A team. You nurture it, grow it, and as I say, great people are found. So yeah, find your pack. Thank you so much. If there are any questions, I'm here to answer those.